Hello, welcome to another episode of Our and Friends. I'm Tammy Blakemore, and today I have some guests with us. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and we'll kind of talk about their companies and, what they're doing here with dietary supplements. First, we've got Melanie Fuller with Co-Create Marketing Strategies. She helps us with the podcast and everything marketing. So if you see anything marketing from Aura, it has gone through Melanie's hands to help us get our news out. And then our special guest is Brandon Dantoni and from International Nutrition. And I'm going to let him tell about his company. And we've been working together for 10 to 12 years. I don't know exactly, but a long time. So we've got a relationship and a history, and it's two peas in a pod, I'd say. So Melanie, I'll let you introduce yourself first.
Okay. So I'm Melanie Fuller with Co-Create Marketing Strategies, and we just celebrated 5 years. Woohoo! And
Awesome.
And like Tammy said, we've been together for quite a while, a long time, and we are a boutique growth marketing firm. So we help brands, businesses, decision makers extend their reach to the multitude. And we start with listening, right? We want to hear where their heart is and what their vision is. And sometimes I need talented people. And believe it or not, marketing does make a difference in helping you get talented people. And then we put together whatever sales and marketing modalities that are needed to help extend that vision to the multitudes and achieve what that decision maker needs. So that's Co-Create Marketing Strategies, bringing intent to visionary ideas.
Okay. And Brandon, I'm glad to have you on. You want to tell us a little bit about you and why what you do for your day job?
Hello, I'm Brandon Dantoni with International Nutrition. We are the owner of the Nutrivene brand as well as Longevity Science dietary supplements. We are based out of Maryland, and we are very happy for me to be on this podcast with you.
Okay. We're happy to have you here too. This is awesome.
Yeah, our company's been in business about 30 years.
Okay.
We specialize in dietary supplements for specialty nutrition needs.
And then you and I work together, but what is your job and why would you be sending out testing? What are you doing for your company?
So my role here is I am Director of Operations and Quality Control. So I oversee all of our day-to-day operations and our quality control, which falls under that. To layman's terms, make sure what's in the bottle is what we say is in the bottle.
Yes. And so then you're bringing in ingredients, or you're planning formulas, and then kind of, behind the scenes, how are you doing that? And what's your goal whenever you're bringing these together? And you're basically the goal in testing, and why are you doing that?
So our goal for everything here is one, you are required to regulate everything that goes in your bottle. So that's number one. Number two, we try to give the highest quality product we can. And if that includes allergens, as far as if it's a gluten issue or anything like that, we try to be as lean and clean as possible to fit our customers.
So you're trying to make your label clean, your products high quality. So because you know how important it is whenever your customers are taking the products that they has sensitivities, and you want to be very aware of that.
Yes. In today's world right now, people really are paying more attention, at least I see with our client base, that they want to know what's in the bottle, and they want to know what they're thinking isn't going to harm them down the road, because you're ingesting this. So you're putting it in your body for a reason. You want the benefit, but you also don't want the negative to chase the benefit, so to speak. You want to make sure that you're taking the best product you can take to fit whatever your need is for that. And that's why we do what we do. We do a lot of testing with lab and third-party certified lab, which is important to make sure that when we get a document that we can send it to whoever we need to send it to, and that lab's accredited. There's different allergens coming out. Sesame is a new one. That's a big thing that now sesame is part of the big group that people are really having more allergic issues with. So that's a factor when you're sourcing and production, where facility you're making something in, all those things become a factor down.
Right. It went from big 8 to big 9.
Correct.
So now we have big 9 allergens we have to really keep track of.
Sure.
your company is a good example of following GMPs as a brand. And because you're following them very well, you do a lot of testing. So I was just going to see if you had any thoughts on putting the GMPs and then your C of A's, like you set specifications, you have you follow all the guidelines, any kind of overview like that that you wanted to share with us.
I guess our biggest thing when it comes to GMPs, just you get a piece of paper, certificate of analysis from a vendor or supplier. If you're going down the right paths, you've already validated that supplier. Okay, so you can test on them just to make sure. So if they say there's 50 milligrams per capsule of a certain ingredient in this capsule, you go to your third-party lab where I'll say ARA, you can call Tammy and you validate your test. And that way you can feel as confident as you can be when you sell that to your customer, they're getting what you say they're getting.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that is the most important thing, that you deliver on what you say. You're going to give them the best product you can give them and know that it meets label claim, it's been made in the right way, and it's safe.
Yes. And I like what you're saying because you're taking, your vendor, your supplier qualification very seriously. And you're using that to make sure you are getting, at the very beginning, you're getting high quality ingredients. And then you're using a lab like ours just to kind of verify what you already did for your audit, that these are high quality products. So this is, to me, that's why I wanted you to come on here, because it's like a perfect example of how a brand should run their quality system. And just me being a perspective of, I talk to a lot of people, I have a lot of customers, and not everybody checks all these boxes. And you guys just do a great job. And I know you have pride in your products. You're making sure everything is just top notch. And so you are an excellent person for me to, quiz on these things, ask you questions, because I already know you're doing everything, just by the book. And you're probably testing, maybe in some cases, more than you need to for these, some of your top quality suppliers. You probably could skip a lot, but I mean, you don't do a lot of that. You're checking everybody a lot all the time.
Big factor there is, you pay attention to your volume sizes and things like that, where you can help yourself. If you're moving a lot of one product, depending on how much you make, you can be more efficient with your testing. Just because you're selling a lot, so you make a lot. It's really just one of those things. But we take it very seriously here, that what we send out, I would take.
Right. You're making products you would take yourself. That's awesome.
A lot of times wholesalers and distributors want to see a C of A for your product. Absolutely no problem. Now people want to call and ask about maybe metal content or a yeast and mold level. They might be really sensitive to gluten. They want to know about that. There's all these things that testing can help you with. And if your processes are validated, it's usually easy most of the time to verify that for them and just have an answer. And really, if you have the answer, that's the best you can do. And that way they feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, they have to be comfortable.
Right. Well, is there any in the manufacturing process or in the brand, like, the whole process of trying to get your products through manufacturing and out the door to your customers and through testing, do you have a challenge that you've faced or something that you would want to share? You may not, but if there is something you can think of that you're just like, because we all are human and things happen, and it's kind of nice for people to say, oh, I've had this happen, or this is how we overcame this challenge.
There's definitely things when you get into complex formulation, the more ingredients in there, the more complicated it becomes. Mm-hmm. You deal with different matrices in your blend, I'll call it. Enzymes, for one thing, is a big factor when it comes to an interference, because they feed off of each other.
Yes.
So when testing that, you have to make sure you're using the right test methods depending on what you're testing for. Make sure your measurements match how you're going to read the test. Make sure that your spec goes with how they're testing at your lab.
Yes.
which it's always worth having a conversation like we have before prior to testing. Here's what I'm looking for. What is the best way to go get it? And
Right.
make sure that I can repeat it. That's the other thing. You have to be able to repeat. Just because you can get it one time is your method validated that you can hit the target when you want to hit the target every time.
Right. I love what you just said because, like third party labs like ours, many times we test blind and we don't have that conversation. Customers just send it expecting us to be able to, I guess, read a crystal ball or something and figure out exactly what they want. But when we have the conversations and we become a partner with you and we can have dialogue maybe before the test even starts to make sure we're on the same page, it saves time and money. And, we can get results to you quickly and they're what you need. They're also validated where that, like you said, repeatable, where we can do this over and over again. So that's an excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up. It's a partnership. Awesome overview of what your company does and how you have high quality ingredients and why you test and why that's so important for your products that you sell. So thank you for being on and thanks for letting us talk to you today. And I really appreciate it. Hopefully everybody's enjoyed this episode of R and Friends. Talk to you soon.